Yo guys, what's up? It's Maverick here from ReliantArts, and we're coming at you with a proper motion tracking tutorial. I've seen plenty of motion tracking tutorials, and lots of them are bullshit because people who've just watched another tutorial who recreate it for views. But we're going to go in depth and show you everything you need to know. So I'm going to show you some of my motion tracks from the past, and here's what we're going to be creating pretty much, and we'll get them steady tracks. So we're going to go through every technique you see here. The After Effects part, the 740 part, 3ds Max, whatever, masking, and yeah. So that's pretty much what we're going for, and I think that's all the motion tracking I did in this video. Good enough. I've got more, but that's good enough for now. So let's get to it. So you want to start out in Sony Vegas. This video is when you start out in After Effects. Don't do that. Too big files, and you're not going to get a cleanest track as you would with Sony Vegas, right? So yeah, stutter syndrome. Here we go. So basically, you want to get your cinematic. Here's what I have, and crop it out. You don't know how to do that. You just click this button right here, and you just your pan tool. So select your edit, go to render, and your first render, you're going to want to save it to whatever suits you. It's going to be a sequence. You want to go to image sequence and choose JPEG. You'll see videos where it says choose TIFF, PNG, whatever. JPEG is the best, always has been, always will be. So after you've rendered in JPEG, you want to render one in main concept AVC/AAC. And here's the settings you're going to want to render with. 1400 whatever bitrate, and yeah, so just copy that for a second, and you want to make sure the audio is off because this is what's going to go into Cinema 4D and whatnot. Okay, so now let's bring this into Boujou. So we got Boujou. You import your sequence by clicking this button. Find your sequence, go to the first frame, and just select it. Then you're going to choose your frame rate you recorded at, probably 59.94, unless you have a dazzle, 29.97, and click apply. Mine resets to 25, so I'll have to do it twice. And yeah. Oh, by the way, you want Boujou CS5, and I'll show you why later. So next you're going to go to track features, and this is the part where you want Boujou 5, because you have the advanced options, and you can scale up the sensitivity or scale it down. So you have less tracks or more tracks. You want to bring this all the way up. In doing so, you're going to get a cleaner track, more track points, and just a better all-around 3D toy. So start your track, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so it finished, and here's what we have. We have our cinematic with a bunch of points that are steady on the map being tracked with motion, so motion tracking, and that are now stapled to the scene. So now what we're going to do is camera solve, and what this is going to do is it's just going to create the 3D space, and it's going to find the top tracks, or the best tracking points, and keep them. So what you want to do is click optimize camera path smoothness and start. This doesn't take as long as tracking features, but it does still take a while, so I'm going to pause and we're going to be back in a second. Here we go. Alright, that's done, and now we have all of our tracks, and they look pretty sturdy. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Scene Geometry, select the point where you want the middle to be, or your text to be. So basically where your text is going to be, you're going to select this point. So I'm going to choose a point around here, and add a coordinate from hint, and this is going to be your origin. So your origin is the middle of your plane, if this makes sense to you, and it's exactly where the text is going to show up as soon as you import it to Cinema 4D. So now we click connect to selected, and then update coordinate from hint, and close. Okay, so that being done, what we want to do now is go into 3D and see what we have here. If you hold shift, you can rotate it around. So if we go into 2D, we're looking at this wall is pretty flat. It's got a few objects in it and whatnot. So in 3D, we're going to be Like, we want to look and see that this wall is aligned up. So you see how there's some markers all the way over here and all that, and it's slanted sort of. All these tracks back here are absolutely no good. There's no use to them. There's no sense in really keeping them. So just delete them all. And whatever track you have, just look for clips like that so you don't, or parts like that so you don't mess up. And now we have basically the little wall there, the other wall, and the floor, and a few backgrounds. And since there's so many on the floor, the backgrounds won't really affect it anymore now that we have that all fixed. Actually, the backgrounds are pretty much pointless too. I'll take a few of those off. There's no point to them. And then you got the ones over here, no point to those either. So now we got that down pat. Our track is looking pretty good. What we're going to want to do now is add a test object to see what we've done. So as you can see, it's kind of slanted, and it's kind of just not the way you want your text showing. So what we're going to do is go back to scene geometry. You've probably seen this in other tutorials. You don't always have to do this. It's only if that test object is not aligned right with the floor. If it is aligned right with the floor, there's no need to do this, but it's not right now, so we're going to add a coordinate from hint, and we're going to make this the z-axis. And basically what this is going to be the front to back view of where we're going to motion track. So if we put a box in here, it's going to be the direction the box is going to be going from front to back and lengthwise. So I say I want the text going from here to here, so I'm going to choose 2 points generally along this line, and these lines are very close. Those will work perfect, so I'm going to connect that to selected for the z-axis and add a coordinate from hint for the x-axis. And the x-axis, it would be the width, length to width, and where you want it. So I'm going to say we're going to do a pretty straight one and just go along this line right here. And if I'm not making sense, just send me a message. I'll hook you up with some more in-depth tutorial. Now that that's done, this tracker is no use anymore, so just right click, delete that, and add a new one. And now you can see it's perfectly aligned, exactly where you want the text to be, and it's looking in good form. So we're ready to export. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to export the sequence. Export the camera saw and browse, and you just want to find exactly where you're gonna export this. So I have a folder. Hold up, taking my time here. Sequences, no shit. Tracks, and you're just gonna name it whatever you want. I have the randomest name, so like just tutorial for this purpose, because I'm not a very neat editor. Saved it, voice crack, sort of voice crack, and then what you're gonna want to do is go to After Effects Maya. Actually no, we're gonna go to Cinema 4D first and scale it by 100. You've seen this before, and save. And the next thing we're gonna do is export the camera solve again, same place, tutorial, and we're gonna do it in an After Effects Maya. So we have a tracking point for Maya. Actually no, what we want to do first. Oh shit, I messed up here. But anyways, what we want to do first is find some good tracks and right click on them and flag them for export. So I'm going to do that right now. And this just makes it all the better in After Effects and aligns it nice and well. Just find tracks that are far away so it's all aligned nicely. And you don't want ones on a rugged land like this. So now we got that. Render in After Effects. And let's see here. After Effects, scale by 300 is usually good, and save. So yeah, if you really want to test, what you can do is go into After Effects and try it. So I'm gonna take you there right now. Okay, so we're in After Effects, and motion tracking in After Effects, it works best on CS4, so I suggest it. I also have CS 5.5, it doesn't work as well on that, but works best with CS4 here. So what we're going to want to do is find our track, and this is just for test, so we don't have to render out of Cinema 4D just to see if it works or not. It's just a test. Now we're going to make a composition with our clip here. Now we're going to open the tutorial composition and bring our clip somewhere in here, and again